You can check as well on the link. Perfect. We are live. We are
Yeah,
live on the Krisullis Podcast.
perfect. We are live. Yeah, we are live.
It's echoing everywhere, so I'm gonna switch my YouTube off on my phone. Welcome everyone to the Chrysalis Earth Matters podcast. I'm really excited about today. On our last show, we had Neville and Duro along with me as we've talked about our journey thus far. And as we get into this conversation, I'd like to briefly talk about the meaning behind chrysalis. So, chrysalis is the space where the caterpillar goes into the cocoon and goes through all of these changes and comes out as a butterfly. And the reason we have chosen this word for what we are doing is because we realize that there are so many sustainability leaders and creators, like our guest, who you will get to know more about today, who are doing some amazing work at the grassroots level. And within the chrysalis, we realize that there is a powerful energy of intention, of community, of support, and all of the resources that are necessary in order to birth the caterpillar of these missions and of these leaders into the vision that they have. And so we don't want to reinvent the wheel, but we want to provide safe space for them to come together, for us to facilitate and maybe accelerate and advance many of the missions that they are doing at the grassroots level. So that's the context behind the chrysalis. We have a couple of things this year that we are doing, and I'm very, very excited about today's guest. Please welcome and please allow me to welcome Bethel Clement. Bethel, would you like to say hi to everyone?
Hello, everyone. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Bethel. I'm gonna read from your website in third person, of course, about you before we get into conversation. I'm very excited about having this conversation with you. So, who is Bethel? Bethel is an award-winning sustainable business leader, a conservation biologist, and a researcher, excuse me, making scientific and community impact since 2017. Your work incorporates empowering others and improving the world through critical research, business, education, community service, public health. Sorry, I seem to be losing my voice here. Leadership, mentoring, and partnerships. You talk about having years of experience in business operations, management, and marketing, and you have leveraged skills learned while volunteering as an undergraduate to foster partnerships, value chains, and sustainable enterprises in various industries such as the circular economy, fintech, manufacturing, and the energy sector. Amazing. Um, there are a lot of other things over here, but I don't want to read it out anymore. I'm coming back to our window and excited to be on with you, Bethel. Tell us more about your work and the initiatives that you're involved in.
All right, so my name is Bethel Clement. My journey to sustainability began when I started schooling in the university. I studied biology, so this gave me the idea of how environmental degradation causes havoc to the ecosystem and to biodiversity. So I delved further into that sector and started doing research. And of course, I had to apply for different opportunities that will help me to understand the environment and earth basically. So I applied for some fellowships that um, were into climate action programs. So I had to carry out community development projects, and I met like minds, and this gave me the avenue to launch a career in sustainability. And as well, I started doing community engagements. Sustainability actions and innovations. I started volunteering for projects that are all about creating awareness for climate change mitigation and adaptation. So I currently do a lot towards sustainability. I have a partnership with an organization that's into food sustainability. We want to create food equity for different communities, and of course, we're trying to build up skills. So we don't only give you the fish, we also teach you how to fish. And so, we want to create systems and build systems for youths and vulnerable communities, and also I do more research in ecology and conservation. I try to study the effects humans have on ecosystems and want to find ways to reduce this habitat loss for biodiversity.
Awesome. Well, we are doing, and I'm being sarcastic here. We're doing a fine job of damaging the environment, and using and abusing all of the limited resources as a species. And that's really why we're here. That's what the SDGs are all about, and that's what being able to create a lot more resilience is all about. So tell us, you've been doing a lot, you've been really involved at the grassroots level. So what has led you to choose this path?
All right, so I figured out that I need to create an impact in my environment, in my community. So I had to start from the grassroots, start enabling awareness to different people in the community, and to see that we create positive change in our communities. So we started letting them know about the impact of indiscriminate natural resource use, and of course, sustainable farming habits, sustainable hunting, and all this led to positive impact in protecting the environment and ecosystem. So I figured out that I can do something to reduce the effect that humans and people generally have on the environment, and it has been amazing. And so I just figured out I need to do more, and so then I actually started partnering with organizations. Having a coalition of youths globally that want to create change wherever they are. So the name of the organization is the Now Actors. So we have different youths worldwide that are trying to create impact wherever they are and to enable and appreciate sustainable actions in their communities. So impact
That's
made me
awesome.
start. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I mean, there's so much, such a degree of consciousness to what you talk about, because, you know, you and I meet a lot of people, and we probably know when people are really conscious and aware of what they're doing and when they're not. So I really love how you talk, from a conscious space inside of you when you say you recognize the indiscriminate use of all of these resources and you want to do something to make things better. What would you say, now that you've been in this space? What would you say are the things that community leaders, society needs to become more aware of through your work? What is the message that is coming through?
Okay, so one lesson I've learned so far is implementation is really necessary. It's actually great to have ideas and policies, but the main thing is implementing these sustainable actions in our communities, even as individuals, in our homes, in our workplace, in our lives generally. So let's start finding sustainable actions we can start implementing right away, as there's no time, because we need to achieve net zero emissions before 2030. Here in Nigeria, we signed a 20% recommission to actually achieve a 20% reduction of greenhouse gas emissions. So we need to act now as individuals, as communities, and start finding solutions individually and start living sustainably wherever we are for future generations to come.
I love it. I love how you talk about a more systemic way of doing things, you know. Um, you have a larger mission, and I know that we talked about this offline as well. Would you like to open up and reveal more about your mission?
All right, so there's a project I'm working with, the Zero Project. We want to achieve zero hunger and poverty, especially in vulnerable communities, because Nigeria is ranks one of the top countries that experience hunger and poverty. So we want to bridge the gap with food equity and waste loss, food waste. So we want to
Yeah.
like build systems, sustainable systems that would give these communities food, and of course build a good farming structure so they could farm the food they eat, as well as grant these youths and human skills, and this would also give them generate income so that they can also survive. And of course, part of my mission is to also create more awareness concerning climate change and environmental protection. So I carry out research and implement projects basically in different communities that face different issues like waste. So I'm trying to like carry out a waste management project. Want to implement a model where we empower the youths in that community and see how we can implement a model whereby they manage their waste and waste is actually reduced. And we can also find a way to convert this waste to some circular products so the waste loss will be minimal.
That's awesome. I love how you talk about being able to see the value in, you know, the waste, but also from what you're talking about, you know, I'm seeing multiple things. And let's be honest, with the climate crisis, you know, there are so many factors and variables involved, right? From the actual direct impact that, you know, you are, you know, working to create within your communities, but it's also about, I believe it's also what you are doing is changing and transforming a mindset, a collective mindset, right? Because beyond the doing, if we start to view ourselves differently and view our world differently and our environment differently, it's a paradigm shift. And what you're saying in substance is by, you know, through the process of education and awareness, um, the youth start to see themselves as being more valuable towards, you know, the world of sustainability and the world at large. But I recognize that you mentioned women, and you know, women do play a very large part in building the economy, from, you know, the family unit to the collective community. And these are all layers. And while, you know, for many people it might seem very separate, they're not separate at all, because, you know, it's like a domino effect. When you are positively affecting and impacting one section of the community and building out that system, in turn it has a ripple effect, a positive ripple effect on, you know, many other outcomes within sustainability. So I love, you know, what you're talking about. So for 2023, that's this year, what are like your top 2 or 3 things that you really, really want to focus on or are focusing on?
So I want to focus on building systems that would help economy and of course the environment. So I want to teach people skills that will give them income and also build a model related to like the circular fashion industry. So we could convert waste and other non-biodegradable materials to products that we could buy and actually use. And of course, I'm also focusing on waste because waste is actually a key idea that we need to focus on and actually reduce because it's one of the top greenhouse gas emitters. And we need to like work on how we manage our waste and of course provide alternatives of for plastic and other non-biodegradable materials. And of course, I'm also working on different researchers to see how we can do more work around ecosystem conservation, especially in Nigeria, to see how we can guide policies that will help to provide protection for different habitats for wildlife species.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, uh, are you currently working specifically on, you spoke about plastic pollution and waste. Is there anything right now that you're working on that you'd like viewers to know more about?
Yeah, so I'm in talks with the Waste Transformers. So it's a really great startup. They are in Freetown right now, converting food waste to electricity and heat. They convert this food waste through a biogas model. So we are trying to implement it in Nigeria. So we are in talks with the organization. So we'll see how we can start implementing how we convert food waste to energy. And of course, we're also trying to like build more partners, private, public. So because collaboration is really important, so we need to do more and see how we can start reducing waste and of course seeing the potential it has.
I love it. I love it. And with regards to the education, I know that you've been involved and you are involved in education and mentorship. What kind of things are you working on with respect to that in your communities?
So for education, I have like an organization in my school where I schooled, the Uni Just Nature Club, where we build fellow students to appreciate nature and, of course, become advocates for environmental protection. So we are trying to build and also mentor other youths globally so they can become sustainable advocates and, of course, become researchers in whatever field they are in. So let's talk about conservation, for example. So I mentor younger students in research methodologies where we could do some research concerning habitat studies, species, biodiversity laws, abundance and diversity in different communities. So this mentorship and this network of advocates would also create a positive impact globally because we are trying to like create a mindset shift in the youth first because we are the future. So we want to start acting now for other generations to come so they can be a positive impact we've left.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Such powerful things. I mean, hearing everything that you're involved in and leading, it's so, so inspiring. For those who, I would look at it on a scale, on a scale with respect to those who are like you, at the grassroots level, who are either participating, excuse me, engaging or leading initiatives, and then somewhere along that scale are people who are still learning about it and becoming aware of it, and then still further on we would have people who know absolutely nothing about sustainability. So why would you say, to regardless of where on the scale any of us are, why would you say that what you're involved in and your mission and your, the initiatives that you're a part of, why are they important right now in this time?
All right, they are really important because we need to achieve net zero emissions because there are lots of impacts climate change is already having in our communities. This global change has effects on biodiversity, even on our health, because pollution and waste can cause different diseases, and of course, even into our environmental and economic system. There's an interconnectedness because of there are lots of damages and impacts that climate change has. So we should always like be proactive now because I feel like there's no time. So we need to start working now to mitigate and adapt to whatever effect climate change is having right now.
Amazing. Amazing. I sense the urgency and the passion behind your words, and it's so inspiring. I think that we need more people to feel into this urgency, And I believe, and I'd love to know your thoughts. I believe that all of us, are equally accountable and can do something towards, whether it is joining, participating in an organization such as yours, or finding something locally, or even doing what we can within our homes. Would you agree with that?
Definitely. So we need to start doing something individually. We need to have a call to
Yeah.
action to start living right and live sustainably.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So, what are your next steps, and what would you like to leave as inspiration for viewers and people who are going to be chiming in to watch you?
All right. So my next step is to actually carry out some research and projects in different communities, especially here in Abuja, where I am, and the outskirts. We want to carry out a needs assessment to see what this community actually needs and what solution do they really want. Because it's actually not okay to just implement a project or a solution without knowing what they actually need. So we want to first assess what's wrong, what can be done better, and then we want to see how we can now implement different solutions as regards waste management, social skills, and of course, even health. So we want to start with assessing their needs.
I
So
love
I'm
that.
looking out for partners and collaborators so we could start something and find ways we could implement solutions.
Awesome, awesome. I love it. And, it's always, I always believe that, when we are really clear about our ask and our desire and our want, and we put it out there, we will have an aligned match. But we need to know what we want. We have to be very, very clear about that. And I'm so happy that you've mentioned this on our live conversation, this live show today. Um, I want to thank you, Bethel. This, conversation opens up so many avenues, of your leadership, but also the kind of impact that you're creating with community. I love the passion that you bring, and I'm sure that our viewers will also, concur with that thought. I want to thank you for your time today, and being able to share all of the things that are happening. These are realities that, unless we hear it on podcasts like this, we're not really aware of what's going on. So that's one of the main reasons why we have this podcast, to highlight and underscore, the urgency around the world, but also, it is leaders and creators, curators such as yourself, who are doing the work, on the ground, and creating impact. So I want to thank you and acknowledge you for all of the work that you're putting in right now.
Thank you so much for having me. And I really appreciate the Krisullis for whatever they are doing to help change makers wherever they are. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you. And I too believe in partnerships, and this is how we grow. We help each other, and, I definitely personally, I want to see you win. I want to see you create impact, and to be able to facilitate that in whatever way and bandwidth that we can. I want to thank all our viewers who chimed in, who will chime in. Please drop us your comments. Let us know your thoughts. Bethel, how can people reach out to you?
So you could just check me out on LinkedIn, Bethel Clements. That's my name on LinkedIn. Or you can email me, clementsbethel@gmail.com. So that's CLEMENTSBETHEL at gmail.com. Clementsbethel@gmail.com. So I look forward to partnership and different responses.
Awesome. 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 Thank you so, so much, Bethel. Thank you, everyone. We look forward to
Thank you
another
so
show
much.
very soon. Have a wonderful time wherever you are. God bless.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.